Hello, folks. It's Dr. Rowe. Hope you're doing well. I thought I'd just lead with the skills image behind me. So let me just adjust myself slightly, get my camera up a little bit higher. Greetings. Oh, I'm out of focus here. You don't want that, do you? Is that better? Much better. So I want to talk in this video about communication skills examples. And quite often people say to me, we always hear communication is really important, and we know that's one of your passionate areas, Dr. Rose, what you specialize in for all these years. But what are some good communication skills examples? What do people mean by that? Because I think a lot of people might interpret a good communicator as somebody who's loud, who's somebody's in your face, who's somebody kind of shouts a message across, or possibly somebody that kind of mesmerizes you. And actually, all of those could arguably be true. But the reality is that in any situation, I think there's 5 really essential skills that you need to be aware of. And certainly if you watch this video and you start to tune into it, my hope is that you go, oh, actually, there's one I need to work on. Oh, actually, that 4th one is one I need to work on. Oh, actually, that 3rd one is one I need to work on. And they may be obvious, they may not be so obvious. So let me put them in there. Now, bear in mind that when we talk about communication skills, this is an evolving experience. It's an evolving skill. It's an evolving technique. It's an evolving tool. You can become an effective communicator. If somebody says you can't, that's not true. Are some people naturally great communicators? 100%. Some people are just born with the ability to communicate smoothly in a relaxed way. Others have had to take years and years to refine that skill to become more effective. Often you'll see great leaders are definitely in the way they communicate more effective. They're certainly able to capture people's attention, and they definitely have the ability to see and understand what people want to hear, and they articulate that across. I see that in a lot of great leaders. But you can be a great communicator even as a parent. You can be a great communicator in your job, in your work environment, in your business, as a salesperson, possibly frontline dealing with customers, or in social media like I'm delivering this message. So know that this can be applied anywhere. So let me give you the 5 communication skills that I think are great examples, and I'll see if I can share these with you now. Okay, so number 1 is clarity. If you're looking for a skill to be able to work on, an example of a communication skill that you really need to tune into, it's clarity. In the same way, I could easily spend half an hour talking about these 5. I could spend an hour just going in and telling you lots of different things, and maybe muddying the water a little bit and taking you in too many directions and leaving you going, but I didn't really get that. Clarity is such a powerful skill to have when it comes to communicating, because when somebody walks away from you, and they're thinking, I really got what they were saying. That's what you really want. Have you ever been to a talk and you've come away going, yeah, I didn't quite get that? Or you've ever been to a meeting, and bloody hell, that was a really confusing meeting. So the clearer you are in your communication as a skill, the more effective it's going to be for the other person receiving the information, and they're going to feel much more connected to you. That's number 1. Number 2 is engagement. I don't mean like, as in, oh, I've got my ring on, I'm engaged. What I mean is, do you feel engaged watching me right now? When you're watching a speaker on stage, do you find yourself going, because they haven't engaged you? Have you ever been around people who just talk monotonously like this, and after a while they're communicating, which is talking, but they're not necessarily doing it with a skill of engagement, where they use specific things to grab your attention, keep you hooked, keep you leaning forward. Their physiology, their tonality, their face, their eyes, and their language patterns and their communication skills all weave together to create this sense of engagement. When I run my live events, we do some interesting exercises with the audience where we get them to practice doing things with each other to engage the other person and see what worked and what didn't work. And I love that because it really gets people excited. And the last event we did, we sort of did some examples of that, and it was online. It was a big Zoom session. There was like 100 people or so, and people were really engaged. So you can keep people's attention, not just at the beginning, but throughout any type of communication. That's a great communication skill. Another one, of course, is rapport. Now, you've probably heard about rapport, and if you haven't, rapport is the ability to synchronize and to relate to somebody else where they feel comfortable with you, and equally you feel comfortable with them. The times that you've gone and you've been talking to somebody and you go, yeah, I didn't really feel that comfortable with that person. I didn't feel I related to them. That's because a rapport hadn't been built. Ultimately, if you see 2 people in rapport, they're moving together, their breathing patterns are similar, their physiology is similar. I laugh often in an audience when I'm talking for quite a a while and they've got into rapport with me, if I do a movement or I stand or I sit or I cross my legs, often you'll see people in the audience do the same thing if I'm sat down on a chair in front of the audience. So great rapport is when they feel synchronized with you. That's another great example of communication skills. So think about the last time you were talking to somebody and when you didn't feel so synchronized with them, so in rapport with them, what could you do next time to develop that rapport? What are some skills you can develop there? And certainly when I'm working with people either one-to-one or we're doing group processes, I encourage them to practice what can be an uncomfortable experience of building rapport. And it's sometimes to do with the way they gesture, sometimes they'll do their face, their eyes, their breathing patterns, the words they use. All these things can help create rapport. And then, of course, listening. And a lot of people go, really? Why is that so important? Well, you probably aren't such a great communicator because you've not been listening all your life. So when you're talking to somebody, the whole process of communication is to exchange ideas, words, passions, and all those things. And of course, if you're just talking at the person and you're not listening to them, then they're going to feel like you're not communicating with them. And that's the thing. A lot of people talk at another person thinking, I've got a message to get across. And they just, bleh. And the other person's like, but you're not listening to me. I actually wanted to hear this, or I wanted to say this, or I wanted to share this with you so that we could talk and communicate with each other. So being prepared to listen and really hear what they're saying is absolutely vital. And then finally, observation. Oh, sorry, were you saying something? I didn't realize, Dr. Rowe. Observation is when you're watching and observing. And what are you looking for? You're looking for how they react to you. You're looking for, are they looking around while you're talking to them? Are they looking at their watch? Are they checking their phone? Are they really engaged with you? Because go back to number 2, if they're not engaged and you're not watching them, you don't even notice that they walked away and they were bored or they didn't really take in what you were saying. So I actually think as much as the listening is vital, so is observing. And there's several things you can do. I actually teach people a little bit on mind reading, asking certain questions to elicit a response, and the response tells you, you know what, they're telling the truth. Are they with me? Are they not with me? So being prepared to observe, and that's a great communication skill to practice over these next few days, is to go out there and actually practice watching people whilst you're talking to them. Try something, throw something in there to see what the reaction is. Notice when they appear more engaged, when they're switched off, when they're losing the thread. Have you given them too much information? All these things come into play. So look, 5 important communication skills. If you do nothing else but take this and just use them to observe yourself when you communicate with other people, it'll be a game changer. These are great skills. And remember, it's always nice to see your feedback. How are you finding some of these tools? Are they useful? Great to hear from. Remember to subscribe, to follow us, Facebook, Instagram, and of course we've got the YouTube channel. And go and listen to us on the podcast, which we talk about communication in there as well as many other great things. And that is www.cicado.com/podcast. I will see you on my next post.